On the day of the National College entrance exam, just as my childhood friend and I boarded the final shuttle bus, I realized one of the parents on board was a fugitive murderer. Seeing their hypocritical faces again in this second life, I finally realized how ridiculous I'd been. Though I knew he was capable of impulsive violence, I calmly got off the bus alone without raising any alarm. Meeting Jason's completely emotionless gaze, I simply slung my bag over my shoulder. In my previous life, I'd urgently tried to get my childhood friend and our best friend to disembark, but they accused me of having persecution delusions while others called me a jinx. You guys chat, I'll grab a cab. Left with no choice, I threatened to sacrifice my own life to force my childhood friend off that bus. Jason looked baffled that I'd let it go so easily, when Samantha suddenly gasped, "Summer, are you mad at me? This is all my fault." But my best friend refused to leave, and in the end, she was taken to the wilderness with everyone else on the bus, where she was brutally dismembered. The seemingly calm gaze by the car door turned toward me as I forced composure and strode forward. My childhood sweetheart and I dashed into the exam hall just before the doors closed. He pretended to be grateful that I saved him, but on results day, he tied me up in front of my best friend's grave and poured a bucket of sulfuric acid over my head, just one step away. Someone suddenly yanked my backpack strap. "Why didn't you insist that Samantha get off the bus? You're the reason she died such a horrible death. You don't deserve to live in this world." As I stumbled, the doors slid shut while the driver's announcement echoed through the carriage. He tortured me to death. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back in time to the day we all boarded that bus together, all examinees and parents. Please remain seated as we proceed to the next stop. 1. Front door malfunction. Please use rear door for boarding. When I came to, Jason was shoving me aside like it was the most natural thing in the world. My breath hitched instantly as I desperately avoided eye contact with Ryan's dad, cold sweat beading on my forehead. He dropped his backpack next to Samantha up front, and 2 meters further by the rear door sat Ryan's father. The hand behind me exerted force, spinning me around to face Samantha, who was sobbing. "Last night, my uncle on the police force told me Ryan's father had murdered the homeroom teacher from the parallel class. An official manhunt would be announced today. What's your problem? Don't you realize how much pressure you're putting on Samantha with those words?" Before I could even process the shock and fear, Jason's voice cut through the air, dripping with disgust. "Don't you realize what important day this is? What if it affects her college entrance exam? Apologize now." Samantha's just feeling jittery with exams coming up, and wanted me to chat with her to calm her nerves. Samantha tugged at his sleeve with teary eyes. "Let it go, Jason, it's really my fault. Summer likes you so much, it's only natural she'd dislike me. Summer, you always call yourselves best friends, but now you can't even understand something this simple." Jason's heart ached even more as he turned and snapped at me. Samantha leaned over from the front seat, her smile exactly like in our past life. "Can't you stand seeing us happy? Constantly picking on Samantha is bad enough, but losing your exam pass this morning and making us catch the last bus, that's too much." "Summer, I'm not trying to steal your Jason, but I'm so nervous today I can barely breathe. If I don't talk to someone, I feel like I'll suffocate." I frowned at Samantha. "Is that how you phrased it to him? Pretty please. Can you spare Jason for just half an hour?" I was going to take a cab alone this morning, but she insisted on coming with me and made me wait. She rubbed her hands together in a pleading gesture, her adorable pout making Jason's lips curl into an amused smile as he replied with resigned tone. Yet when I rushed to her place, she claimed she couldn't find her exam pass and deliberately stalled until Jason came looking for us. Only then did she casually pull it out from the drawer. "My Jason, don't get the wrong idea, our families are close, so we naturally spend time together. We're really just ordinary friends. In my past life, I thought she'd just forgotten due to nerves. Now I realize she was intentionally sabotaging my image." In Jason's eyes, his gaze swept past me with detached coolness, as if urging me to quickly validate his statement. Gripping my backpack straps, I watched Samantha wipe tears from her cheeks with the back of her hand before nodding. "Summer, we're not blaming you. Just remember to have all your documents ready next time." I scoffed inwardly. Jason tilted his chin up. "Samantha says she's not mad, but you owe her an apology and a promise not to pressure her like this again. He's the one who spent our childhood declaring his love for me, wrote me over 100 love letters. We were the campus couple everyone recognized, and now he claims we were just friends. Next time, never again. Before I introduced him to Samantha, he used to cling to me every single day, begging me to marry him once we came of age. With a cold laugh, I took the front seat behind the bus door for an easy exit, but then Samantha came along and his focus shifted. He went from clinging to me to basking in her attention, and even started acting disgusted by me in return. No need for, next time, or later. I promise I won't bother you again starting now. You'd better mean it. Jason stopped looking at me and sat beside Samantha, handing her a carton of milk. Samantha's cheeks flushed crimson with shyness as she rummaged through her bag. Then suddenly her expression changed. Then she suddenly stood up, pointing at me and shouting, "Summer, how could you snatch the amulet I was going to give Jason?" she yelled frantically, darting past Jason to grab my backpack, instinctively clutching my bag tighter. She barely touched me before losing her balance, falling backward and hitting the back of her head on the steps behind us. Students and parents in the back seats gasped and rushed to help, with Jason looking especially frantic as he supported her and anxiously checked the back of her head, asking, "Does it hurt?" Samantha shook her head with tearful eyes. "No, but the protective charm I got for you at the temple is gone." "Jason, what should we do? Could this be a bad omen?" Jason helped her sit down before turning to me with an outstretched hand. "Give Samantha back her charm." All eyes in the room were on me now. I could feel Ryan's father staring too, sending chills down my spine, but the next stop is still minutes away. I can't make any rash moves now. Clutching my backpack tighter, I muttered, "I don't know anything about an amulet." Samantha shook her head tearfully. "That's impossible. I secretly showed it to you this morning, and then it vanished." "Summer, I know you've never liked me. I was the one insisting we be best friends. But that amulet holds my deepest blessings for Jason. You can't just take it." Jason narrowed his eyes with even greater disgust. "Give it back to her." I clenched my teeth and met his gaze. "Believe what you want. I've never heard of it or seen it." Everyone on the bus was staring. A parent sighed. "Listen, kid. This is the college entrance exam we're talking about. One wrong move and you'll miss your dream school. Stop being stubborn and return it." "Exactly. With charms like these, better safe than sorry." Samantha shot me a smug look from her seat, yet spoke in a fragile tone. "Summer, I never blamed you for taking so many of my things before, but this, please, can you give it back? Your family's loaded. You can buy anything. It's not like you need this." A guy whistled mockingly. "Rich but still stealing? With that kinda character, how'd you even get into college?" Jason's face darkened further as he spoke through gritted teeth. "I never should have let you ride the bus with us. Should have made you take a cab." As the bus stopped, I stood abruptly, my expression icy. "Fine, I'll get off now so I won't be in your way." But after just 2 steps, Samantha's panicked shriek reached me. "Wait, my exam admission slip is gone too." I'd nearly reached the exit when Jason grabbed the back of my collar again. "Samantha can't take the exam without her admission ticket. How could you be so cruel? Stop running. Hand over your admission ticket and lucky charm." All the students waiting at this stop boarded the bus. As the doors were about to close, I turned back shouting, "I never touched her stuff. Let me go. I need to get off." Jason's eyes turned vicious as he yanked me backward. "Still lying. Empty your bag right now. Let go of me." Clenching my teeth, I broke free with all my strength and strode toward the door. Suddenly an arm shot out to block my path. The instant I recognized the sleeve color, the doors slammed shut. "All examinees and parents, please remain seated as we proceed to the next stop." The sleeve of that arm slid up slightly, revealing a menacing tattoo on the wrist. My hair stood on end instantly. Trembling, I turned my head and met Ryan's father's smirk. "Kid, is your family really that wealthy?" Before I could respond, Samantha cut in. "That's right, Uncle. Summer's family is loaded. Her dad owns the biggest stationery factory in town." Someone gasped behind me. "So you're the heiress, with your family's fortune. How could you stoop to stealing? What a disgrace to the Shao name." The naked greed in Ryan's father's eyes sent chills down my spine. In my past life, the moment I recognized him, I urgently warned everyone to get off, but they dismissed me as paranoid. With accusations flying and Ryan's father nearly spotting me, I had no choice but to throw a tantrum to drag Jason out. When I turned back to pull Samantha up, she glared at me with pure hatred. forcing Jason to choose between us, but before he could decide, the car doors slammed shut. Later, I saw footage of the passengers' horrific deaths. Each body bore countless stab wounds. Every student's face, male or female, was carved with savage gashes. Some parents had arms severed. Others were dismembered on the spot. I tipped off my uncle, and Ryan's dad was quickly apprehended. Later, I saw his interrogation photos in the news, those same ruthless, defiant eyes, identical to the man standing before me now. My back soaked with cold sweat, I forced myself to turn away, only to catch Jason staring at my backpack. Summer, hand me that backpack, feeling Ryan's dad still staring at me. I bit my lip and tossed my backpack at him defiantly. Since you don't trust me, go ahead and search it yourself. Jason unzipped the bag and dumped everything onto the floor with a stony expression. The backpack contained only a study guide and the clear document holder I'd prepared for the college entrance exams. He meticulously checked every pocket and compartment but found nothing, finally turning his attention to the document holder. Before he could open it, I spoke up. Jason, if her lucky exam pass isn't in there, you owe me an apology. Samantha bit her lip with tears in her eyes, while Jason shook his head dismissively. We've known each other since childhood. I know exactly what kind of person you are. You're just jealous that Samantha's a better student, so you stole her exam pass on purpose, too. He said it with such conviction that Samantha gained confidence too. No wonder you insisted on getting out of the car. You were planning to ditch my exam pass so I couldn't take the test. The crowd erupted in anger, all pointing fingers and hurling accusations at me. Clenching my fists, I shot back. You're blaming me without even looking. Jason glared daggers at me before lowering his head to open the document folder. But everything inside was prepared last night according to college entrance exam requirements. When Samantha offered to carry it this morning, I refused as a precaution. There's no way her things could be in there. Jason's face darkened as he kept searching. It's got to be there. Check your pockets. I only had 2 pants pockets, and turned both inside out to show him. He frowned skeptically, then turned to see Samantha crying herself pale. How could it be missing? She definitely took my bag this morning. Jason, does this mean I can't take the exam? But I really wanted to go to the same university as you. Jason immediately composed himself and held out his hand. You always keep important things in your phone case. Give me your phone. My heart skipped a beat as I clutched my phone tighter. You can have the case, but not the phone, Samantha yelled. She's so nervous. It must be hidden behind her phone case. Jason lunged at me immediately. I fought back desperately but was still knocked down as he snatched my phone. As I grabbed a pillar to pull myself up, a freezing large hand suddenly gripped my arm. Ryan's father's deep voice echoed by my ear. Let me help you up, kid. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would leap out of my throat. I shook my head violently, too scared to look, and tried to pull my arm free, but he tightened his grip, as if deliberately keeping me there. My breathing grew ragged, cold sweat beading on my forehead. Out of the corner of my eye, Samantha snatched my phone and screamed the next second. Summer just texted her uncle saying there's a fugitive murderer on our bus. Time seemed to freeze. Jason took my phone while Samantha and others scanned the passengers suspiciously. Even the driver frowned at us through the rearview mirror. Panic and confusion filled everyone's eyes, while I stood frozen, breathless, as my gaze drifted downward to the fingernails digging into my flesh. Hot, ragged breaths ghosted across my neck, each exhale punctuated by the mocking chuckle of a male parent seated ahead. She's just a kid. How'd she develop persecution complex this young? The tension dissolved instantly. An elderly man chimed in. Exactly, we're all here for the college entrance exams, with kids and parents focused on today's big test. What killer would be dumb enough to show up? Ryan's dad murmured beside me. Come on, kid, why would there be a murderer on this bus? Clenching my jaw to stop trembling, I croaked. I was just gathering material for my uncle. He writes murder mystery scripts. Samantha exhaled in relief, then narrowed her eyes. Summer, you're not using this as some stalling tactic, are you? Jason's expression darkened as he snatched his phone back. Flipping open the phone case, I snapped. You've gone too far today. Just wait till exams are over. I'm telling your parents, you won't get off easy. Wait, where is it? He froze at the sight of the empty case. Seizing the moment, I wrenched my arm free and bolted toward him. See, proof I didn't take it. Give it back. After finally reclaiming my phone, I bent down to stuff everything into my backpack. 3 minutes to the next stop. This is my final chance. In my past life, Ryan's dad confessed that he hijacked the driver at the stop before the exam site, forcing a detour into a secluded alley before making his move. The next stop is the second to last. I have to get off here. Clutching my backpack, I planted myself by the door, keeping a meter's distance from Ryan's dad. Jason behind me paused thoughtfully before turning back. Samantha, think again. Could you have left it somewhere, maybe at home? No way. I checked my backpack before leaving. Summer was the only one who touched it after that. The exam pass and Lucky Charm must still be in the car. Tears streamed down her face as she spoke. Softening, Jason grabbed my sleeve. Take off your jacket. I need to check. I stared at him in disbelief. Are you out of your mind, Jason, with all these people on the bus? You want to publicly ruin my reputation. If you don't hand over the exam admission ticket, you're destroying Samantha's entire future. Gritting his teeth, he ignored my protests and yanked off my school jacket, revealing the t-shirt underneath. After patting down the jacket thoroughly, his eyes turned icy. Must be in the pants then, or maybe it's in your underwear. Samantha's shout drew several eager male parents and students who swarmed over to pin me down, with the leader outright yanking open my t-shirt collar to peek inside. Let go of me, help, don't touch me. My screams only excited them more. Clenching my teeth, I covered my chest with my arms while kicking wildly with my legs. Standing apart from the crowd, Jason watched coldly as Samantha batted her eyelashes at me with a taunting glint. Now Jason belongs to me completely. Exam candidates hunched over their notes while parents filmed excitedly, some indifferent, only fussing over whether their child needed water. The driver peered back through the rearview mirror like a spectator at a show. None of them wanted to save me, just like my past life. Despair grew deeper in my heart as my cries for help grew fainter, until a boy muttered disappointedly, pathetic. Still this underdeveloped in senior year. No wonder the guy you like prefers someone else. Who'd want to look at someone like you? Break it up. Nothing to see here. No tea. No admission ticket. What a snooze fest. As the hands restraining me withdrew one by one, I could no longer hold back my tears. Through tear-blurred vision, Jason pulled the sobbing Samantha into a comforting embrace, murmuring soothing words. Don't worry, we'll find it. As the train reached the second-to-last stop, I wiped my tears fiercely, grabbed my coat, pressed against the pole farthest from Ryan's dad, and bolted off the train. Suddenly a hand brushed against my coat from behind. Without hesitation, I let go, leaving the jacket on the train by sheer luck. My heart kept racing even after my feet hit the pavement, but I didn't look back, instead sprinting madly in the opposite direction. Inside the car, Samantha peeked out from Jason's embrace and watched my frantic retreat through the window. Suppressing a laugh, she feigned concern and said, "Why is Summer running that way? Is she trying to skip the college entrance exams?" As her words faded, the car door slammed shut. 3. All examinees and parents, please remain seated as we proceed to the next stop. How UN South Station. Ryan's father, sitting near the rear door, was staring at me when his expression suddenly darkened. He stood up, approached the driver, pressed a sharp blade against the driver's throat while pulling out a gun with his other hand. The gun muzzle was pointed at every passenger in the vehicle. Take a left at the next intersection. Anyone who dares call the cops dies first. The driver's face turned pale in the rearview mirror. The whole bus was startled, and everyone near the driver scrambled to the back. Amid the chaos, Jason and Samantha were pushed together when someone whispered, "That girl was telling the truth. There really is a murderer." Another voice hissed urgently, "What good is knowing now? Call the police." But soon, those crouching to make furtive calls panicked. "No signal. I've got no signal either." The situation grew increasingly chaotic as Jason frantically checked his phone. Sure enough, 0 bars. Ryan's father, who was holding the driver hostage up front, shot them a cold glance with madness creeping into his voice. "I've jammed all signals on this bus. None of you are getting away. Providence put me on this bus for a reason. Today you'll all pay for Ryan's death with your lives." The dozen passengers behind were paralyzed with fear. Students accompanied by parents clung to them desperately, while those who boarded alone curled into fetal positions. Samantha trembled violently in Jason's arms, her grip vice-like around his waist as her eyes darted forward. "Jason, do something, Please, I don't want to die, don't be scared, Samantha, it's gonna be okay, Jason's voice trailed off after just a few words. After all, he was just a high school senior, confident around peers but utterly powerless against an armed murderer. Suddenly, Ryan's father swayed his gun barrel, having a cozy little chat back there. Think I don't exist? They immediately shut their mouths, not daring to make a sound. Ryan's father glanced approvingly at the driver and said, "Up ahead, take a right." The driver's voice trembled. "That alley's too narrow. If we go in, we might not get out. Turn right. Stop your damn backtalk." With a furious growl, Ryan's father clenched his teeth, then plunged a knife into the driver's side. Ah! Piercing screams erupted inside the swerving vehicle as several girls and Samantha finally lost control and shrieked. Ryan's father gripped the steering wheel and snapped impatiently toward the back. "Shut up, the noise is unbearable." The venomous voice crackled with static, making Samantha tremble violently. Suddenly breaking down, she shoved Jason away and yanked open the car window to leap out. "Samantha, stop, you'll kill yourself. Let me go. I'd rather die falling than stay here." Jason wrapped his arms around her waist and yelled to the others, "What are you staring at? Help me." But just like at every stop before, the passengers were too consumed by their own terror to care whether she lived or died. Jason felt momentarily dazed. But the howling wind outside snapped him back to reality as he yanked her back forcefully. Just as he steadied her, two objects suddenly tumbled from Samantha's pants pocket. The folded exam admission slip clearly bore the name, Samantha. Beside it lay a talisman stained with black pigment. "This is..." Samantha was still sobbing when Jason suddenly remembered the message I'd sent to my uncle on my phone. "Summer, her uncle's a cop, so she knew there was a killer on board all along. And I treated her like that." His voice was barely audible, almost to himself, until he suddenly noticed everyone staring terrified out the window, following their gaze. Jason gasped. The bus had veered into a dead-end alleyway, the walls pressed within fist's reach of the windows, making escape impossible even if they crawled out. Up front, the driver lay motionless, unconscious from severe blood loss. Ryan's father raised his gun, grinning darkly as he slowly approached the trunk. In his other hand, blood dripped from the knife's tip. "Now, it's your turn." Shortly after running in the opposite direction, I hailed a cab to the exam site. The moment I stepped off the bus, my parents called. "Summer, where are you? Your uncle said there's a murderer on your exam shuttle bus. He even bought a gun from the black market." Tears streaming down my face, I choked out, "Mom, Dad, I got away. Thank goodness. You nearly gave us a heart attack over here abroad. Is Jason with you?" His parents said they can't reach him and are worried sick. I bit my lip. "He's in the car with Samantha." My parents looked stunned. "Your best friend Samantha. Since when did they?" "Summer, I'm just relieved you're safe. Thanks to the distress message you sent your uncle. They've located the bus and are organizing a rescue. Don't worry, Jason will be fine." My mind flashed back to my past life. Jason tying me to Samantha's grave and pouring sulfuric acid over my head. The memory sent a sharp pang through my chest. In that past life, I genuinely wanted to save them. That's why I immediately texted my uncle for help with our location after boarding, and desperately tried to convince them to get off the bus. Yet it all ended so horribly. In this lifetime I tried to stay away from them, only to be publicly humiliated. I'll never understand how Samantha's few words could outweigh over a decade of childhood friendship. "Mom, Dad, I'm going in for the exam now. Go ahead and focus, sweetheart. We're booking flights home immediately." Had we known this would happen, we'd have never missed your college entrance exams. With my phone powered off, I entered the examination hall. Though the morning incident on the bus had shaken me, I managed to focus on answering questions within the first 15 minutes of the exam. When I walked out of the exam venue in the afternoon, my parents were already waiting outside the school. Before I could speak, Mom quickly reassured me, "Don't worry, Summer, Jason and Samantha have been rescued. It's just..." She hesitated to speak. Then Dad continued, "Jason got stabbed twice in the stomach, just pulled through after emergency treatment. Your best friend had deep cuts all over her face, completely traumatized." Babbling nonsense. Her parents are sending her for counseling. At least they're both alive. Several other passengers didn't make it. Mom nudged his arm. "Don't scare the kid," I cut in. "Was Ryan's dad arrested?" Yeah, the bus had surveillance cameras. He can't deny it. Mom, Dad, I want to see the footage. My parents took me to the police station, and my uncle pulled up the surveillance footage for me since I was the one who initially reported the incident. When they saw me being publicly humiliated, my parents couldn't stay seated any longer and started cursing Jason furiously. And I actually thought that boy was decent. How dare he treat my daughter like this? Absolutely not. Jason's family owes Summer a formal apology. My parents stormed out in righteous anger, leaving me alone behind. When Samantha's own exam pass and talisman fell from her pocket, I clenched my pants and gritted my teeth. In the surveillance footage, as Ryan's father advanced toward the rear compartment with a knife, someone cried out, "I don't even know you. Why are you doing this to me?" He wiped his cheek with the back of his hand, leaving a vivid crimson streak. His voice trembled with bitterness and resentment as he spoke. "Some of you were my son's classmates, yet none of you ever cared about him. The boy who'd once stripped me sneered, 'Didn't Ryan take sick leave for a month? That's the homeroom teacher's damn lie. My son jumped to his death a month ago because of your bullying.' But the school claims special circumstances before college exams and tells me to pretend nothing happened. How can I pretend when my boy's gone?" Ryan's father paused abruptly, a smirk curling at his lips. "I killed your homeroom teacher, and helped myself to the $1,000,000 in her safe while I was at it. Truth is, the cops are after me. I plan to lay low on this bus till the testing site and bolt, but the next stop has my boy's favorite basketball court, so I've decided. You're all gonna die to keep him company." Ryan's father grew increasingly agitated as he spoke, making Ryan's classmates tremble with fear. Samantha turned pale. Whether triggered by the word police or not, she suddenly lost control and screamed, "Summer's uncle is a cop. She must have gotten out to call the police." Jason quickly covered her mouth, but it was too late. Ryan's father frowned, realizing they needed to act fast. He strode over and yanked Samantha away. She turned back in panic, screaming, "Jason, help me." But Jason clenched his teeth, eyes burning with resentment. "If you hadn't falsely accused Summer of stealing your exam pass, she wouldn't have abandoned me and gotten off the car. You had this coming." The following scenes were too gruesome. I only dared glance briefly twice. Ryan's father slashed Samantha's face multiple times, screaming herself hoarse from the agony. She received no help. By the time he released her, Samantha had already lost her sanity, gripping the bloodied knife. Ryan's father stabbed Ryan's classmate to death and wounded several parents. He then indiscriminately stabbed several others before finally turning to Jason, "Classmate, I should thank you for that falling out with Summer. Otherwise, she might have taken you all off this ride. Then what fun would I have?" Blood gushed from Jason's lower abdomen as his murmuring lips fell silent with his final blink. The faintly visible words seemed to say, "I'm sorry." Several days later, Jason finally regained consciousness. I wanted nothing to do with him, but he stubbornly insisted on seeing me, refusing treatment otherwise. His desperate parents came pleading, even kneeling before me, leaving me no choice but to agree. In the hospital room, he bolted upright excitedly the moment he saw me. "Summer, you finally came. I knew you'd forgive me, right?" I gave a faint smile. "What makes you think I'd ever forgive you?" He froze, panic flashing in his eyes before hurriedly saying, "I'm so sorry, Summer. This is all my fault. I shouldn't have trusted Samantha. Her exam permit and lucky charm were never lost. She framed you on purpose." Jason reached out to me desperately, his other hand clutching the wound on his stomach. I calmly watched the blood blister swelling around the 4-needle on his hand. In the past, seeing him like this would have shattered me. I'd be crying my eyes out, wishing I could take his pain instead. Seeing him now, pale and barely clinging to life through 4 drips, fills me with grim satisfaction. "Jason, don't you think your apology comes a little too late? My parents named me Summer because they wished they'd met sooner, but I wish I'd never known you. Then I wouldn't have suffered all this humiliation." Jason's lips trembled as he shook his head violently. "No, Summer. I've loved you since we were kids. You can't leave me now. We promised we'd get married when we grew up." I let out a scornful laugh. "This is how you show your love, by distrusting me, rummaging through my bag, and letting other guys humiliate me. I thought it was her you liked." I clapped my hands, and Samantha was shoved into the room. She was still acting hysterical when she entered, but the moment she saw me, she screamed and covered her scarred face. "Summer, you did this to me." In her brief moment of clarity, her first instinct was to lash out at me. I crossed my arms. "You're the one who wronged me first." She glared at me venomously. "It's all because you always act so superior. How dare you have both wealth and academic excellence? This isn't fair. I wasn't lucky enough to be born into a wealthy family like you, so I'll make damn sure to steal Jason away." The corner of my mouth lifted. "Do you really think you succeeded, you bitch, still flaunting your victory?" "If it weren't for that damned murderer, I would have pulled it off," Jason snapped. "Shut up, you've got no right to talk about her." Samantha finally noticed him and shrieked hysterically. "Jason, why didn't you save me? You just stood there watching me get disfigured." His eyes turned icy. "I told you, you brought this on yourself. If you hadn't framed Summer, she wouldn't have left the car alone. Otherwise, with our childhood bond, she would have definitely saved me." I stood by the wall, wanting to say I'd tried to save you in my past life, but not this time. Yet what came out was, well, if not for her, I'd have saved you. Then you wouldn't have missed the college entrance exam. You know, you actually predicted many of this year's exam questions. Had you taken it, you could have gotten into any top university in the country. Jason's eyes burned crimson with rage as he yanked out his four and lunged from the hospital bed, seizing Samantha by her hair. "You made me miss the college entrance exams. You've ruined my entire life." Samantha fought back viciously, driving her foot into his still-healing abdominal wound. "I didn't even take the college entrance exam. This is all your fault." The hospital room was in complete chaos, with bloodstains scattered across the floor. I led my team out, leaving them space to handle things their own way. By the end of that day, Samantha had relapsed into psychosis and was readmitted to the psychiatric hospital. Her family had another well-behaved and accomplished younger sister, so her parents simply abandoned her, focusing all their efforts on raising the sister instead, leaving her to rot in the mental hospital. But Jason was his parents' only son. They couldn't bear to give up on him and kept pleading with me, both openly and subtly, to visit him more often. Only, every time they showed up at our door, my mom would chase them away. After they came knocking too many times, my dad cut off all business ties with Jason's family in frustration, and only then did they finally back off. On the day the college entrance exam results came out, I ran into Jason again. He'd lost considerable weight, hunched forward with his palms instinctively pressed against his stomach. "Summer, I'm retaking senior year," riding high after checking my scores. I just muttered, "Oh," and turned to leave when he grabbed my arm. "I'm sorry, I know you'll never forgive me, but I know I messed up badly. I thought our marriage was a done deal, but I still wanted to meet other girls." When Samantha threw herself at me, "Summer, I'm truly sorry, please forgive me." I recoiled in disgust, pulling my sleeve away to avoid his touch. My parents were still waiting to celebrate with me, and I wasn't about to waste another second on him. "Jason, you made your bed. Now lie in it. Don't come crawling to me for forgiveness. You don't deserve it." With that, I tossed my jacket into the trash and strode through the front door. After that day, any news about him only reached me through mutual friends. During his repeat year, Jason kept having nightmares where Ryan's father held a knife pointed at his stomach. Haunted by these nightmares, he lost all motivation to study and fell in with delinquents, picking up smoking, drinking, and gaming. He dropped out after just 6 months to drift through society, eventually getting arrested for gang theft. His parents were utterly disillusioned with him, formally disowning Jason and kicking him out of their home, vanished without a trace. In college, I buried myself in studies, desperately filling every waking moment until I finally banished both past and present nightmares from my mind. Shortly after starting grad school, Jason's name came up during a high school reunion, leaving everyone sighing over his fate. From star student to forgotten homeless man, he completely squandered every advantage life gave him. By the way, how's Samantha doing? Her, still in the mental institution, surrounded by lunatics. She has moments of clarity, but her parents won't take responsibility. She'll never get out. Finally, someone turned to me. "Summer, if not for what happened on college entrance exam day, you'd probably be married to Jason by now, right?" I took a sip of wine and shook my head. "No way." The man quickly forced a smile. "Absolutely. Now that you've inherited the family fortune, how could Jason ever be worthy of you?" I smiled wordlessly, taking another sip with quiet satisfaction. "In this lifetime, I've rewritten my destiny and altered their fates. What goes through their minds is beyond me, but I'm quite pleased with it myself. Story 2. In the third month of the drought, the outdoor temperature had soared to 70 degrees, the streets were already deserted, people were all hiding in their homes, praying that this natural disaster would pass soon. I turned on the surveillance and saw that my ex-husband and his mistress were fighting over a bottle of mineral water, while I was taking a cold bath and enjoying a watermelon leisurely, watching the scene like a show. 1. The moment I opened my eyes, I thought I was dreaming. I was actually in an air-conditioned bedroom, and the sound of Grayson taking a shower came from the bathroom, but I quickly realized that this wasn't a dream, whether it was the sense of pain or the calendar. They all clearly told me that this was reality. I had returned to 2 weeks before the arrival of the Great Drought. Speaking of the Great Drought, it was a nightmare that I could never forget in my life. On July 15, 2025, the global temperature of the Earth suddenly soared above 70 degrees. The ground was so hot that it could burn your feet. Due to the orders from above, companies began to implement working from home. At first, people were cheering for working from home, but soon they realized something was wrong. The fact that it was too hot to go out was actually secondary. More importantly, rivers, lakes, and even oceans were all evaporated during the countless dry days. On the 15th day since the start of the drought, there began to be a shortage of water supply in some local areas. In the second month of the drought, the water supply across the country became tense, and people were called on to save water and electricity, and not to use a single drop of water unless necessary. In the third month of the drought, due to the extreme lack of water resources, a large amount of hydropower supply was also stopped. The country began to seek help from foreign countries. However, it was just a drop in the bucket. At the same time, droughts of different degrees began to break out in various places. People had no choice but to go out of their homes in search of resources, but at most, they would collapse on the ground due to heatstroke within half an hour. Without rescue, they would be turned into dried corpses in at most 2 days. There were corpses all over the streets. Even now, when I think about it, it still makes my heart palpitate. In my previous life, due to the continuous dry weather, I had noticed the abnormality early and stocked up a large amount of water resources, ice, and various foods at home. According to the normal consumption rate, it was enough for me and my husband Grayson to use sparingly for half a year. But half a month after the start of the drought, my best friend Autumn suddenly asked me for help. With Grayson's encouragement, I still agreed to let Autumn move in with us. It was only after she moved in that I found out that Autumn and Grayson had already been together. After I caught them in the act face to face, they instead tied me up, left me at home without food or drink, and even carried out all kinds of illicit affairs in front of me. The most excessive thing was that when I was extremely short of water, they were enjoying the water resources I had prepared, drinking ice water and eating ice cream in front of me, in the face of my pleas for help. The two of them insulted and laughed at me brazenly, and even spat on the ground, telling me that if I wanted to live, I was only worthy of licking the saliva on the ground. Be quick, or you won't even have saliva to drink when it evaporates. Their ferocious and disgusting faces were still vivid in my mind. In my previous life, due to the inhumane torture and countless anxieties and despair, I finally lost consciousness. Before I knew it, tears had already dropped on the ground. I was suddenly stunned. An anxiety of not being able to evaporate the water in my body welled up in my heart, so I immediately took a sip of water and began to calm down. With those unforgettable days in mind, I don't have any sadness about being betrayed by love and friendship now. All that's left is the anxiety that I have to prepare early because the drought is about to come. Grayson finished his shower in the bathroom and came out. I controlled the urge to strangle him and told him that I was going on a business trip and might not be back for 2 weeks. The joy on Grayson's face flashed by and was immediately replaced by a dejected expression. I knew that he must be secretly delighted in his heart. As soon as I left, perhaps Autumn would come over for a tryst immediately and take over my house. But I was also secretly delighted. Come on, this time. I will definitely make your days more memorable, too. I took all the bank cards and jewelry at home and rushed back to my hometown without stopping. Since the disaster was about to strike, stockpiling supplies was definitely necessary, but naturally, I wouldn't stockpile them in that place anymore. I thought it was dirty, and besides, it was even hotter in the city. My hometown, on the other hand, had a sparse population, was shaded by trees, had relatively convenient transportation, and also had a yard and a basement. It was simply an excellent place to stockpile supplies. As long as there was enough water resources, I could even plant some vegetables in the yard. Wouldn't that be wonderful? However, before starting to stockpile supplies, I first asked someone to install 2 surveillance cameras while Grayson and Autumn were out having an affair. Then I went to the pawn shop, sold the jewelry, and withdrew all the current and fixed deposits from the bank cards. In total, I had about 600,000 yuan in available funds. It wasn't a lot, just thinking about it made me angry. Over the years, whenever I earned money, I would deposit it into the pension account that Grayson and I had opened together, but I never expected that this scoundrel Grayson had been secretly taking money from it to support Autumn when I wasn't paying attention. Thinking about the house where the two of them had had their intimate moments, I simply decided to go all the way. I found a loan shark, filled in Grayson's information, and mortgaged the house. The money quickly reached my account. If I didn't start repaying the debt in a month, the loan shark would start coming to the door to collect the debt, and I successfully had a cash flow of about 2 million yuan. With enough funds, I began to prepare to stockpile supplies. The first thing to prepare was water resources, using the excuse of starting a business. For the large 18-liter barrels of drinking water, with a wholesale price of 16 yuan per barrel, I directly placed an order for 1,000 barrels, costing a total of 16,000 yuan. The storage of supplies was also a big problem. If they were exposed to the sun all the time, they would eventually evaporate, and I also wanted to freeze some meat, so I purchased a large amount of dry ice for the 6-liter dry ice barrels, with a wholesale price of 200 yuan per barrel. I placed an order for 500 barrels, costing a total of 100,000 yuan. Due to the large quantity, I also asked the store owner to help me purchase a dry ice maker at a low price, which cost 50,000 yuan. Small bottles of drinking water were also essential. If I met someone in need of help, I definitely couldn't reveal my large fortune, but I was willing to give them an appropriate amount. At 30 yuan per box, with 24 bottles in each box, I bought 1,000 boxes, costing a total of 30,000 yuan. While waiting for the water resources to be delivered, I began to contact workers to help me reinforce the old house and expand the basement. The construction period was 1 week. Using the excuse of starting a business, the basement was required to be converted into a bomb shelter. The bomb shelter was warm in winter and cool in summer, and it was also very dry inside. It saved electricity bills and I didn't have to worry about the barreled water evaporating. The yard was converted into a greenhouse with adjustable temperature, and a thick wall was built outside. On the one hand, it shaded the sun, and on the other hand, it protected my property. The whole house was reinforced. All the doors were replaced with anti-theft doors, earthquake-resistant walls were added, steel structure sets were installed, and cast-in-place reinforced concrete surfaces and high-strength fiber surfaces were added, although the old house wasn't very large in scale. Due to the time-consuming and labor-intensive work, this expenditure was still very large, directly costing 1 million yuan. I mentioned that the weather had been hot recently and told the workers to buy some ice cream at home. Then I began the next step of stockpiling supplies. 3. The workers were all reliable ones found through others, and their homes were far away from my place. In this way, even if a disaster struck and someone had evil intentions, they probably wouldn't be able to reach me. But this wasn't enough. I began to purchase a large number of self-defense tools, sturdy wolf tooth clubs, hundreds of bottles of pepper spray, bulletproof vests for women, rechargeable saws, etc. Cost me another 20,000 yuan in one go. There were also the video doorbell and surveillance cameras. I needed to have a sufficient view of the surroundings of my home, so I also asked someone to install 10 surveillance cameras. Once someone approached, I could immediately notice something was wrong. This cost another 3,000 yuan. I had less than 800,000 yuan left in my hand, and I finally began to stockpile daily necessities and food. In my previous life, until I died, I didn't know whether the rescue would arrive in the end or whether the disaster would end, and due to the extreme lack of water and days of continuous torture, I was already delirious at the end. But I had to make full preparations. if the drought ended early, the supplies I stockpiled could also be donated. As if God was giving me a chance to repay, since I could plant vegetables in the greenhouse, I first bought seeds of various crops, such as lettuce, water spinach, peanuts, cauliflower, tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, scallions, garlic, chili peppers, etc., and with some fertilizers. It cost 5,000 yuan, thinking that it would be a kind of happiness to be able to eat watermelons in the hot summer. I also bought 20 Kirin watermelon seedlings, planning to give it a try. Taba said it would bear fruit in 30 days, costing 100 yuan. I also purchased some lazy watermelon seeds, 700 grains in total, costing 100 yuan. In addition to what could be planted in the greenhouse, instant food was also very important. After all, it was so hot that going out to find food would mean dying on the way, so I bought 20 boxes of self-heating hot pots of each flavor. A total of 200 boxes, costing 4,000 yuan. I bought 20 boxes of self-heating rice of each flavor, a total of 300 boxes, costing 6,000 yuan, for instant noodles of various flavors, at a wholesale price of 30 yuan per box. I bought a total of 30 boxes, costing 900 yuan. A bag of 50 jean flour cost 150 yuan. I bought 20 bags, costing 3,000 yuan. A bag of 20 jean rice had a wholesale price of 50 yuan. I bought 100 bags, costing a total of 5,000 yuan. A box of 20 jean noodles had a wholesale price of 100 yuan per box. I bought 20 boxes, costing a total of 2,000 yuan. Snacks such as peanuts, melon seeds, potato chips, and biscuits wouldn't expire due to high temperatures, so I bought 10 large bags, plus other snacks, costing a total of 1,000 yuan. The seeds, instant food, and snacks were all ready. What was left were the products for relieving heat. In such hot weather, ice cream and popsicles were definitely necessary. I browsed Taobao and bought 2 boxes of each of my favorite flavors. In total, I bought 60 boxes, costing about 4,000 yuan. I had bought almost all the food. But storage was also an important part of stockpiling supplies. Among the items I purchased, various self-heating rice and ice cream products needed to be stored in freezers. Just dry ice wasn't enough to make me feel at ease, so I also selected several large freezers. For the large freezers with a capacity of about 500 liters and dual compartments and dual temperatures, the average price of each was about 4,000 yuan. I purchased 10 of them at that time. Various perishable foods and water resources could be stored in the freezers, and various flours, noodles, and rice could also be placed on the freezers, which also saved storage space. 40,000 yuan was still a bit expensive, but I gritted my teeth and paid for it. As for the electricity, in the drought weather, it was almost impossible to generate electricity through hydropower or wind power. But the electricity supply couldn't be cut off, so I chose solar generators instead. A 3 kilowatt solar generator cost about 6,000 yuan per unit, due to concerns about the continuous high temperature and potential damage to power generation. I simply placed an order for 5 units at once. This cost another 30,000 yuan. While doing the large-scale purchasing, I also anonymously posted a message online. I didn't say much, just told everyone to stockpile as many supplies as possible. Time flew by while I was stockpiling supplies. I had only completed 70% of my stockpiling task. So I sped up the pace, for I didn't know how long the drought would last, so medicines were also indispensable in this process. So I prepared to purchase various heatstroke and shock medications. For the ice patches specially for heat, 10 pieces cost 25 yuan. I bargained with the merchant and directly bought 50,000 pieces, all of which were of the latest production date, costing 120,000 yuan. For the latest produced Huxiang Zhengqi water, 1,000 bottles cost 320 yuan. I also bought 100,000 bottles, costing a total of 32,000 yuan. For the small waist-hanging fans for construction sites with special chargers, the wholesale price was 100 yuan per unit. I placed an order for 2,000 units, costing 200,000 yuan. I also stockpiled various medications for treating bruises and sprains and other injuries. In a blink of an eye, I spent another 50,000 yuan. I originally wanted to buy more, but unfortunately, I didn't have enough cash in my hand, so my purchase of medications and heatstroke prevention supplies had to stop here. I only had 300,000 yuan left in funds, and I still had to consider clothes, sewage disposal, etc. The ice vests cost 50 yuan per piece at the wholesale price. I bought 2,000 pieces, costing 100,000 yuan. I also asked reliable workers to install a home sewage disposal system, costing 20,000 yuan. I also bought heavy-duty drones that could be operated by intelligent voice and somatosensory control. The wholesale price was 2,500 yuan per unit. I bought 10 units, costing a total of 25,000 yuan. I also had to stockpile some feminine hygiene products and various daily necessities for women. I bought 5,000 packs of sanitary napkins, at a wholesale price of 10 yuan per pack, costing 50,000 yuan. I bought 1,000 bottles of various toiletries. The ones of relatively poor quality cost 20 yuan per bottle, costing 20,000 yuan. I had less than 100,000 yuan left. Thinking that I had freezers and dry ice, I simply bought 200 jin of chicken, 200 jin of pork, 200 jin of beef, eggs, and small fish fry. In the disaster weather, if I wanted to eat meat to supplement protein, fish was the best choice. So I bought grass carp, cushion carp, etc. The price of the fish fry was very affordable, costing less than 300 yuan. That was all for the stockpiling. Looking at the small house filled to the brim with supplies, I felt a great sense of security in my heart. I had less than 20,000 yuan left on me. I used the remaining money to buy all supplies such as noodles and water and donated them to various orphanages and nursing homes. Fortunately, there were no shortages of basic furniture such as air conditioners and washing machines in the old house. Otherwise, I might not have been able to save any money. And when I officially moved into the new home, there was only one day left before the arrival of the abnormal high temperature. People on the internet had already started to worry. Is it my illusion? It feels like it hasn't rained for a long time. It's not an illusion. I'm in Yunnan. It hasn't rained for almost 2 months, and it's getting hotter and hotter. Me too. I have a bad feeling. God, I still have to work in this terrible weather. I'm really going to be roasted to death. It's also very hard for students. The school doesn't have air conditioners. People are really melting, but I knew that this was just the beginning of the disaster. After tomorrow, what awaited humanity was the continuous 70-degree surface temperature. Just then, my phone rang, and the caller was Grayson. I calculated the days. I guessed that he had finally realized something was wrong. Honey, when are you coming back? I've been away from home for almost 2 weeks. And this scumbag man has only thought of me now. I guess he's had enough sleep and wants me to go back and wait on him again. Sure enough, after hearing that I would still be away for a while, Grayson sounded distressed on the other end of the phone. But I miss the food you cook. Honey, you don't know. I can't eat or sleep well without you. I really miss you so much. Please come back soon. Honey, of course he can't eat or sleep well. Autumn can't cook at all. The two of them can only order takeout every day, and they're so lazy that they don't even throw away the takeout boxes. The house is already in a complete mess and smells sour. In the past, I would definitely have dropped my work immediately and rushed back to clean the house, wash his clothes, and cook for him. But not now. I endured the unfairness of washing his underwear with a sullen face in my last life. This life, no way. So I suppressed the nausea in my heart and pretended to soothe him. Just wait a little longer. You know, I'm making a lot of money. I'll bring you a surprise when I come back. In the past, because of my business, I was always on business trips. To express my apologies, I would always bring Grayson the gifts he liked, for fear of neglecting him. But I never expected that he was the kind of person who wouldn't suffer a bit. When I'm not at home, he finds his own entertainment. As soon as he heard the words, surprise, and money, Grayson stopped pestering me. And I took the opportunity to hang up the phone. Before I left, I forged fake property certificates, marriage certificates, and other documents and put them in. It seems that Grayson hasn't found out that the family's deposits and documents have been replaced by me. While feeling fortunate, I also wondered how I could have been so blinded by greed in the first place to fall for such a stupid and lustful man. I turned on the surveillance. Grayson was comforting Autumn and explaining to her the reason why I couldn't go back and be a nanny, but I didn't have time to think too much. Before I knew it, the terrifying high-temperature weather arrived. The high temperature of 70 degrees is no joke. Just by opening the window and taking a look outside, I felt as if I was about to be burned. My skin was like it had been scalded, and blisters quickly formed. It was as if there were several suns hanging in the sky. And waves of heat swept over. I immediately rinsed the wound with cold water, then drank a bottle of Huxiangzhengqi water to relieve the heat, and turned on the air conditioner. Only then did I feel that the restlessness in my body subsided a little. All the major news channels on TV were urgently broadcasting news. Due to the sudden change in the weather, citizens are requested to stay at home and not go out to avoid burns and scalds. Urgent notice, due to the hot weather. There are many people fainting on the road. Please do not go out to prevent being trampled on. All the major apps on the internet were also discussing the sudden change in high temperature. God, I'm really going to be roasted to death. Why is it so hot? This weather isn't normal. My dad just said that when he went out to buy groceries, he was directly scalded as soon as he stepped out of the house. Many people have heat stroke and passed out. My goodness, are you kidding? Just stay at home and enjoy the air conditioning. Who would dare to go out in this weather? The damn boss dares. He said the project is important and the company has air conditioning, so he insists on people going to work. I just saw the news that several colleagues fainted on the way. I don't know if they're okay. I'm at a certain hospital. Now the emergency call can't get through at all. The hospital is full of people who have heat stroke and passed out. Those who don't follow the instructions above, in my opinion, they deserve it. Can you shut up if you don't have anything good to say? Those who go out in this weather are all poor souls, aren't they? God, we always say it's so hot that people are dying, and now people are really dying from the heat. Have you seen the news? It said that the rescue team members fainted from the sun when they went out. It's not just fainting, your information is a bit behind. 16 out of the 20-member team sent out from our district have passed out. Salute, salute. The internet was already in chaos. Although there were broadcasts from above to comfort people, everyone had a shadow in their hearts. Some people were still hoping against hope that the change would last at most 2 or 3 days and might be caused by an abnormal magnetic storm in the solar system, but only I knew that this change couldn't end at all in a short time. To stay calm, I turned off the TV and started counting the supplies and making plans. The amount a person needs every day isn't too large. I just need to maintain the necessary intake of food and water every day, therefore. I decided to eat a bag of biscuits or 2 yang of noodles in the morning, cook 2 dishes and 1 soup at noon, and have some snacks in the evening. In this way, my supplies are enough for me to live a normal life for 10 years in this extreme weather, since it's hot, to keep myself clean and save water resources as much as possible. I decided to take a bath with a bucket of water every day and keep the bath water for flushing the toilet and mopping the floor. The sunshade greenhouse outside should be sown and watered when the temperature is lower at night to ensure a continuous supply of fresh vegetables. The raising of fish fry should also be put on the agenda so that I don't have to worry about the intake of meat and protein. While planning in my mind, I used the ingredients in the freezer to make a stewed chicken with mushrooms. I paired the chicken with fresh mushrooms, sprinkled some garlic and ginger, stewed the chicken until it was soft and tender, and then served it with stir-fried fresh pumpkin seedlings. I had a delicious first meal in the apocalypse. After the meal, while the internet was still available, I downloaded some professional books and books of my interest. I believe that this natural disaster will eventually pass, so I definitely can't let myself slack off while having leisure and entertainment. Speaking of this, I remembered something disgusting in my last life. I don't know which month it was. Anyway, even the city center where we lived lost power, water, and the internet. Grayson and Autumn had nothing to do, so they took pleasure in torturing me and having sex in front of me. Just thinking of those 2 bodies emitting an unpleasant smell due to the high temperature entangling in front of me like maggots makes me want to vomit. I turned on the surveillance again. Grayson and Autumn were acting as if nothing had happened, enjoying the air conditioning, eating popsicles, and watching the news live broadcast in the house. The popsicles were the ones I bought when I was at home. Now that I think about it, they really got off easy, perhaps worried that it would be difficult to explain about Autumn if I suddenly came back. Grayson called me again after the meal. Honey, have you seen the news? Are you coming back? I was watching TV and eating melon seeds. I've seen it. I originally planned to come back, but you know, the weather is too abnormal. So I can only wait and see what happens. I pretended to admonish him. Take good care of yourself while I'm not at home. Grayson hesitated for a while before saying, Honey, Autumn said that the air conditioner at her home is broken, and she called today to ask if she could stay at our place. I sneered, Sure, I'm actually less worried if you two are together. I don't know how long this high temperature will last. I'll bring some supplies back when I come back in a few days. Hearing me say this, Grayson finally let go of his worries. Then you must come back early, honey. I don't want to be alone with Autumn. You know, I've always had a bad relationship with her. This is their usual excuse. They pretend not to get along in front of me, but in fact, they've been together for a long time. They even admitted it to my face in my last life. It's just that because Autumn disliked Grayson for not being rich enough and being a gigolo. And Grayson disliked Autumn for not being a good wife and mother and not being able to earn money to support him. Autumn introduced me to Grayson. Now that I think about it, I was really a complete fool. In the evening, although the outdoor temperature dropped a little, it still remained above 50 degrees. I put on my ice vest, stuck 3 ice patches on my body, hung a small fan on my waist and shoulder respectively, and also carried an emergency bottle of Huxiangzhengqi water in my pocket. Then I got ready and went to the greenhouse. The greenhouse isn't very big. I decided to plant 5 plants of each crop first. After all, I'm the only one eating, and it should be enough. The greenhouse has a cooling function. I also moved the fish tank in and fed the fish some feed by the way. After going back and forth, I sweated again, so I immediately drank a bottle of Huxiangzhengqi water and then took a cold bath. It was only the first day of the high temperature. Although I was a bit flustered, overall, the water, electricity, and gas were sufficient, so I fell asleep comfortably with the air conditioner on. The next day, as expected, it was still hot. The 3rd day, the 4th day, the 5th day, the 6th day, I don't know how many days passed, but the temperature still showed no sign of dropping. People finally panicked completely. When will this high temperature weather pass? Who understands? I want to go to work. There's no food at home. What about the hospital? Where are the medics? Now the streets are full of corpses, and it stinks. Is this the end of the world? I have a bad feeling. The supplies distributed in the community recently are getting fewer and fewer. The staff in our community fainted from the heat at the door of our house. It scared my daughter. The water and electricity in the community are cut off from time to time. I'm really afraid that there will be no water at all one day. Unlike other doomsday scenarios, due to the extremely hot weather, even if people want to cause trouble, they will faint from the heat in a short time and die in an extremely short time. Therefore, the streets are deserted. Apart from the stinking corpses that can be seen everywhere, there is nothing else. It's like a dead city. Grayson and Autumn called me several times during this period, but I didn't answer any of them. Today, calculating the days. Those 2 scumbags should almost run out of food and supplies, so I took the initiative to call back. 6. As soon as they saw that I was calling, Grayson and Autumn both got excited. Ember, are you going to bring supplies back? Honey, why did you only answer the phone now? Where have you been? When on earth are you coming back? Although the water and electricity haven't been completely cut off yet, the 2 of them have already suffered a lot. At the moment, they are looking disheveled and gasping for breath like dogs in a house without air conditioning. What's more, the house has already been messed up by the 2 of them. Every breath they take is like eating in a toilet or a garbage dump. Through the surveillance, I can even smell the stench. After the 2 of them complained and pleaded for help for a while, I slowly replied while eating an ice cream, I want to come back, but there's no way. You can come back at night like those rescue workers. Grayson's breathing was rapid, and he was obviously anxious. If you don't come back, Autumn and I will die here. Hearing this, I just wanted to laugh. He knows that going out now is life-threatening, but he doesn't want to go out himself and yet insists that I go back. The rescue workers can go out at night only because they have protective measures. What about me? Am I going to die? And this man whom I once wanted to entrust my life to is a complete coward who is not willing to take any risks at all. I recognized this man once again. But if he doesn't want to go out, I have plenty of ways to force him out. I made a video call. Grayson and Autumn immediately stared in amazement when they saw the mountains of supplies behind me. Honey, where did you get so much food? the situation is tense everywhere now. Although there are vegetables in the greenhouse, they can only be given priority to those above and the rescue personnel. Therefore, the two of them haven't had a good meal for a long time. My God, sister, where are you? There's so much stuff here. I took a bite of the ice cream. I found it outside. It's a pity that I can't come back. Otherwise, these supplies would be enough for the three of us to eat for a long time. I blinked my eyes, guarding such a large pile of supplies. I don't dare to come back easily. But I can't move them all by myself either. Look, here's water, self-heating hot pots, and popsicles. How can I carry all these? Grayson swallowed hard, then looked around at the garbage dump where he was. You're right, honey, you can't leave. He glanced at Autumn. Then give me the address, and I'll come over and help you move them, idiot. I sneered in my heart. It was so easy to lure him in. Come if you can. I took a big bite of the ice cream, as if I was biting their heads. I will definitely make sure you come but never leave. 7. After hanging up the phone, Grayson and Autumn had a big fight. You tell me, do you miss her? Why do you want to take the initiative to go find her as soon as she said something? Autumn's hair was so greasy that it could be used to stir-fry a dish, but she still put on a coquettish attitude and refused to let it go. I was simply stunned. In this situation, she wasn't worried that Grayson would abandon her, but rather worried that Grayson missed me. What a complete love fool. Grayson obviously had a lot of experience and quickly soothed her. How could I? You know I have no feelings for that woman at all. It's just that, baby, you also saw that she has a lot of supplies there. If I go and get them back, we can have a good life, can't we? Autumn softened a little. Then why don't you take me with you? Grayson immediately expressed his loyalty. You're not like that rough woman Ember. What would you do if you encountered danger? But considering that the two of them were also worried about something going wrong on the way back, and the house was already too dirty to live in, they finally decided to come to find me together. Hearing this, I almost fainted from anger. Fortunately, there was an air conditioner powered by solar energy, otherwise I might have fainted from excessive anger. I didn't want to listen to the rest. It was nothing more than the two of them starting to dream about killing me as soon as they arrived, and how to divide up my supplies and property. They wanted to eat ice cream, take a lover's bath, and drink clean water. When there were no supplies left, they would force me to go out and find some. The two of them slandered me while hugging each other and falling asleep on the bed full of domestic waste. I was so angry that I simply got dressed up, went to the greenhouse to water the plants, picked a small watermelon, and watched TV and ate the fresh watermelon while enjoying the air conditioning. This might have been just an ordinary daily life for people before the high temperature, but now it can be said to be a top-level enjoyment. After all, the apocalypse of high temperature is not a zombie apocalypse. Certain social orders are still proceeding in an orderly manner. For example, although hydropower generation is no longer possible, there is still solar power generation and wind power generation. However, the supply has been greatly reduced while the demand has increased sharply, so the lives of ordinary people have become even more difficult. The matters of Grayson and Autumn were temporarily put aside by me, and I began to do another thing that I had wanted to do since I started stockpiling supplies. 8. I don't know how many days the abnormal high temperature has lasted. Even the days in the city center where I used to live are so difficult, then I can't even imagine what the lives of some poor families in the surrounding areas are like now. These days, I have been thinking about why God gave me a second chance. If it's just because I'm pitiful, there are thousands of pitiful people when the end of the world comes, but when I posted on the internet, there was no trace of anyone in a situation similar to mine. If it's just to let me take revenge, then on the first day of my rebirth, I should have stabbed Grayson and Autumn to death. Anyway, it's the end of the world later. It's better to die than to live miserably, and we will die anyway, but I still came back to life and had a second chance. I don't want to die, and I don't want to sacrifice my life for two scumbags. I still have some attachment to this world. I want to protect this world as much as possible. When I made up my mind, I also purchased as many items as possible at the same time, such as an endless supply of sanitary napkins, wuxiangzhengqi water, toiletries, and so on, but I also don't want to expose my location and the situation of my supplies easily, so I also purchased 10 drones. The situation above is already in chaos. It's understandable to give priority to some high-level talents and people in the central areas, But the people in the countryside clearly also have great expectations for the future and are looking forward to the arrival of rescue and the end of the high temperature. Except for the evil people, no one should be abandoned. There is a family of 5 living by the river, which is 30 minutes away from my residence. Although they are very thrifty, they can't grow any grain in the fields, and there is no water or electricity. The food stored at home is about to run out. So I loaded 5 jeans of rice and flour, 3 bottles of mineral water, and 5 boxes of self-heating rice and dropped them over there at night using a drone. There is a little girl in the neighboring village whose parents have both passed away. Her life experience is pitiful, but she is very cheerful. She lives alone and is thrifty. Although she has enough food, as a young girl, she inevitably has her menstrual period and other needs, so I packed 2 bottles of toiletries, 3 packs of sanitary napkins, and several bottles of mineral water, and also tied ice cubes to them and dropped them over at night. There are many more people near and far who need assistance. I know that this may just be a drop in the bucket, but even if there is one person who shouldn't die and can hold on a little longer because of these things, I still think it's worth it. At the same time, I have also been continuously using drones to anonymously send some medicines, small waist-hanging fans, ice vests, and other things to the large rescue teams. Just relying on my own strength, this world won't change at all. Only these large rescue teams can bring hope to more people. Although the public has always criticized the word saint, I'm just trying not to go against my own conscience as much as possible. On the premise of protecting myself, I try to do some things within my ability, which is an obligation that should be fulfilled. That's why I responded to Autumn's plea for help in my last life, although it didn't bring me good results in the end. But I can't just abandon my conscience because I was killed by scumbags and the abnormal high temperature arrived. After all, not everyone deserves to die. People who are covered in injuries and are still carrying out rescue activities everywhere in the abnormal weather don't deserve to die. And people who have never done anything bad or hurt others in their entire lives don't deserve to die. Of course, there are also people who deserve to die. And Grayson and Autumn are the ones who deserve to die. And when I turned on the surveillance, these 2 people were secretly sneaking towards the location I gave them, 9, although I promised to let the 2 of them come to find me. But for such villains, of course I couldn't expose my location, so I reported a fake location. It was in a supermarket that had already been abandoned, and the supplies there had either been completely collected or had all gone bad. Although the temperature at night is lower than on ordinary days, after walking in the high temperature for a long time, the 2 of them were visibly in a sorry state. Unfortunately, as soon as they arrived, they were stunned and immediately made a video call to me. At that time, I was picking some fresh vegetables from the greenhouse and getting some meat, planning to make a small hot pot by myself. Ember, are you playing tricks on me? Autumn, who had thought she could immediately live a good life after the journey, was stunned. As soon as the video call was connected, she immediately questioned me loudly. Grayson could keep his composure a bit more. Honey, what's going on? Since I had lured them out of the shelter, I no longer had to pretend to act. Come on, Grayson, your wife is right beside you now. What kind of wife am I? As soon as I said this, the 2 of them fell silent. It took Grayson a long time to speak. What do you mean? I rolled my eyes big time through the screen, and then blanched a piece of beef by myself. I clearly heard the sound of the 2 of them swallowing their saliva. Stop joking, honey, where are you now? Come and pick us up quickly. Autumn also chimed in on the side, accusing me of still joking at this time and not feeling sorry at all for the hardships she, as a best friend, and Grayson, as a husband, had endured these days. It seemed that they could see that I was unmoved. And both of them panicked. In order to take this risky journey, they had almost used up all the heat relief supplies distributed above. Now they didn't dare to go back the same way at all. It was estimated that they would faint from heatstroke before they even arrived, and the next day they would directly turn into dried corpses. Seeing that I was serious, the 2 of them began to explain all at once. Ember, you're wrong. You know that I and Grayson have never gotten along well. How could you misunderstand that there's something between us? Yes, honey, my love for you can be witnessed by heaven and earth. With our feelings for so many years, how could you doubt me like this? I exhaled a breath of pent-up anger. You really are showing off your stupidity in front of me. Are you trying to act cool? You're not telling the truth, right? Then call me when you figure it out. After saying this, I hung up the phone and started eating the hot pot while watching a drama. With the air conditioner blowing cold air beside me, after finishing the meal, washing the dishes, and taking a bath, I thought about it. The time was ripe, so I edited a message to a number in my contact list, and then checked the missed calls and messages from the two of them. Seeing that I didn't answer a dozen or so calls, the tone of the two of them in the text messages gradually changed. It took less than 2 hours for them to go from the initial sophistry to breaking down and abusing me. And then to frantically apologizing, but I understood their fear. This place was too remote, there were simply no rescue soldiers coming, and there wouldn't be even a bowl of rice distributed as supplies. They couldn't leave and could only wait to die here, either go out and die from heatstroke and sun exposure, or stay here and starve to death sooner or later. This was a place I had carefully selected, the location was a supermarket, and it was remote, which made them have no doubt that I was guarding the supplies here. Ember, I was wrong, I was just bewitched. I'll give him back to you. Please save me, honey, no matter how big the matter is. You can't play with my life. You must have a way, right? Please save me. Grayson even ranted in the text message. Honey, I really regret it. I love you. As long as you give me a chance, I'm willing to do anything, even kill and set fire. I can't live without you. I thought to myself that he couldn't live without my supplies. I checked the time, it was almost time. So I finally made a video call to Grayson. As soon as I turned on the camera, Grayson's excited face came up close. Honey, have you forgiven me? Although his face was dirty, the clear handprints on it could still be seen. Sure enough, he moved the camera and pointed it at Autumn, who was tightly tied up with cloth strips on the ground. When Autumn saw me through the video, she struggled desperately. Grayson knelt down. Honey, I really know I was wrong. I was just having fun with her. I only love you. Afraid that I wouldn't believe him, he walked over, grabbed Autumn's head, and started slapping her left and right. In a short while, Autumn's face swelled up like a pig's head, and I clicked my tongue when I saw it. Bitch, it's all your fault. You provoked the relationship between me and Ember. You also made Ember misunderstand me, you slut. At first, Autumn was still struggling, but later she only shed tears, with nothing but hatred in her eyes. I was so parched from watching that I simply opened a bottle of iced soda. The sound was particularly attractive. Grayson kicked Autumn twice more, almost kicking her against the wall, and then came to express his loyalty to me again. Honey, you see, I really have no feelings for her. He was like a demon glowing red in the dark, looking at me with greedy eyes full of longing. But I turned to Autumn and asked, if you had known he was such a man, would you still have been with him? I already knew Autumn's final outcome. Grayson was an extreme egoist who only loved himself. At the beginning, he could even abuse and kill me who could create value. How could he show mercy to Autumn who was a burden to him now? Autumn couldn't answer anymore. I turned to look at Grayson. I really once thought about spending my whole life with you properly. I know I didn't spend much time with you usually, so I tried to compensate you more materially. But what about you? You don't deserve it at all. Grayson, you really live up to your name. You're such a scumbag. I won't say anything more. I already mortgaged the house in the city to loan sharks in your name. The debt collectors are on their way now. They said it. Either give the supplies or give your life. You choose one. Grayson's eyes widened. You bitch. How dare you harm me? I ignored him. You're doomed. Choose for yourself. Grayson had nothing. It was death if he stayed here, and it was also death if he went out. Finally, he spat hard and hid among the rotten supplies in the supermarket. Looking at him now, covered in rotten and stinking soup and water, I felt extremely relieved all over my body. The debt collectors came soon. Since I gave the exact address, they quickly found Grayson. I watched as Grayson tried to convince them that he had nothing to do with this and said that I had a large amount of supplies and was living a good life every day, but all to no avail. After being punched to the ground and kicked several times, and seeing that he was about to be beaten to death, Grayson panicked and still chose to run out. Unfortunately, now that the day was breaking, the temperature had already risen sharply, with all his wounds. As soon as he went out, he let out a shrill scream. Uncle Maverick, who was pretending to be a debt collector, went out to take a look. He turned on the camera that had been on the call and pointed it at Grayson, who was in a terrible state on the ground, and told me, he fell to the ground. Yeah, I replied, I had long known that Grayson was as timid as a mouse and only dared to show off in front of the weak. Now I had solved this human-like creature without getting my hands dirty. The woman over there seems to be scared silly, Maverick told me. Shall we throw her out? I refused. It's okay, she's just a fool. Even if she lives, she won't live long. Just leave her alone, don't dirty your hands. If she dies, it has nothing to do with us. If she lives, a fool who has been scared out of her wits, how good can she be? You have old people and children at home waiting for you. The high-temperature weather will eventually pass. Maverick, thank you this time. Go back quickly. 10. There were no real debt collectors. The loan sharks were real. But in this situation, no one was collecting debts at all. I knew he must be secretly delighted in his heart. As soon as I left, perhaps Autumn would come over for a tryst immediately and take over my house. I repeatedly declined, but to no avail, and I couldn't get in touch with the real loan shark. That's why I resorted to this last measure. I deliberately said the words about taking his life in front of Grayson, just to make him preconceive that he would be beaten to death, so that he would step into the abyss by himself. But in fact, when I contacted Uncle Maverick, I just asked him to teach my cheating ex-husband a lesson, with Autumn's miserable state as evidence. Uncle Maverick didn't have any doubts about me at all. As a reward, I used a drone to send power banks, wuxiangzhengqi water, ice vests, small construction site fans, and other things to Uncle Maverick's house. Uncle Maverick shook his head repeatedly. No need, benefactor. If it weren't for you, my whole family would have been finished. Besides, you gave me these power banks and ice vests before I went out. You keep them for yourself. I held back the thought of telling him that I actually had a lot of supplies and just nodded silently, accepting his kindness. One can have a kind heart, but one must also have the caution to guard against others. Days passed by, and I was still living an ordinary life in my hometown. I read books, studied, watched movies every day. In my spare time, I occasionally ate self-heating hot pots, and occasionally ate some fresh vegetables and homemade hot pots. I took a cold bath at night and operated drones to send things to those in need. I don't know how long it had passed. Finally, one day, the sun hid behind the clouds, and it began to drizzle. Uncle Maverick still didn't know my name or address, but he knew my phone number. On the other end of the phone, he held a little girl and said, "Girl, you were right. This high temperature is finally coming to an end." I suggested sending him some more supplies, but this time he refused. My wife is already very embarrassed to have received so many things. Now that the high temperature is about to end, how can we still rely on you? Aunt Camila also chimed in on the side. That's right. We are working people. I understood what they meant and laughed on this end of the phone. Indeed, after staying in the city for so long and living in seclusion alone for such a long time, I almost forgot that the working people in our China are simple and industrious. How could they be willing to accept charity? As soon as it rained and cooled down, Uncle Maverick and Aunt Camila began to plan which crops to plant in which fields. What are you going to do after the high temperature ends, girl, anyway? Your scumbag ex-husband is gone. Otherwise, your uncle and aunt will keep an eye out for another one for you. We'll definitely pick someone who is honest and reliable. I knew that my uncle and aunt meant well, but who said that women must have a man? A partner is the icing on the cake in my life, but not a necessity, so I declined politely. I have to go back and focus on my career. I originally thought that Aunt Camila would tell me that as a girl I shouldn't be so tired and that men should take care of my career, but unexpectedly, she smiled as brightly as ever. It's also great to focus on your career, rely on yourself, and you'll never go hungry. After the rain, a faint rainbow appeared. I think my new life should have just begun now. Story 2. I'm a little zombie. Right now, I'm on the brink of starvation. Not because there's no food, but because I'm a bit of a neat freak. Looking at those rotting corpses, I just can't bring myself to eat. Today, I was so hungry I couldn't even walk. I fainted from hunger. When I woke up, 3 people were standing in front of me. My face lit up with joy. Food delivered right to my doorstep. I opened my eyes and discreetly observed these meals, one with a scruffy beard, that would be prickly to eat. Not good. Another one too skinny, lacking any chewiness. Not good. The third had a strong face, fair skin, smelling faintly of lavender, clearly someone who regularly changes clothes and takes baths. This one's good. I sat up, tugged at his sleeve. and asked sincerely, "Can I eat you?" The bearded man chuckled. "Hey Everett, she says she wants to eat you." I wiped the drool off my face, annoyed. I glared at the bearded man. There goes my carefully applied makeup, and him talking with spit flying everywhere. How annoying. The man seemed intrigued. "So how would you eat me?" I showed my small fangs, trying to look fierce. "Just like this, bite by bite." The man just smiled, didn't say a word, and patted my head. I tilted my head, taking that as a yes. Without waiting for him to speak, I pounced and bit into his shoulder. The other two were clearly shocked and hurried over to pull me off. Crack. What the heck? So hard. I chipped off a bit of my tooth. The man pushed me away and touched his nose. "Sorry, forgot to take off my shoulder guard." I looked at him with a mournful expression. There went my little Fong. My debut was less than successful, and my tooth broke first. "This little lady is quite strong. You wouldn't know she's not really a zombie if you saw that tackle," said the tall skinny one as he shook his arm. "But I am a real zombie. Haven't you ever seen a talking zombie?" I stood tall and proud. "Exactly. If I weren't so hungry right now, I could be even stronger." The bearded man looked at me like a dog seeing meat. "Little lady, how about you come with us to our camp? There's plenty more to eat there." A human camp. I clapped my hands excitedly, eyes sparkling. Yes, yes. I followed them back to their camp. It was a camp set in a prison surrounded by trees. No wonder I couldn't find it. Even a dog couldn't find this place. Looking at all the humans around, I salivated. The bearded man blew a smoke ring, making me cough. "Hey, quite the little glutton." I rolled my eyes at him. "You're the cat, not me. Your whole family is full of little foodies." Points deducted. Cats are so cute. How can you call them little foodies? But what do cats taste like? They all call me the chicken killer, because as soon as I arrived, I ate 7 chickens. Haley, who manages logistics, looked at Uncle Stubble with a look of sorrow. "Where did you find her? She can really eat." Uncle Stubble gave an awkward smile. Everett agreed to it. "Don't be fooled by her eating habits. She's actually very strong. Put her to work next time." Haley looked at me doubtfully. Seeing Haley's malevolent expression, I tightened my grip on the chicken leg in my hand. I grinned, showing my teeth. "My chicken, no one can take it away." In the middle of the night, I rubbed my shrunken belly. I was hungry again. It wasn't that I didn't want to eat, but eating more might lead to being discovered. I do have a brain, after all. But I really didn't want to eat chicken anymore. Too many bones, too little meat. What else could I eat? I thought of Everett, the perfect food. Everett, who was the former leader of this camp. I licked the corner of my mouth. I dashed to Everett's door. Not a soul in sight at the door. Such lax security. I twisted the doorknob gently. Click. I looked at the doorknob in my hand skeptically. Made of plastic. Their security measures are lacking. Not impressed. I entered the room. Everett was lying half naked on the bed, his perfect upper body exposed to the air. Looking at his pale muscular lines, my drool couldn't help but fall. Definitely chewy. I quietly lifted Everett's arm. Just as I was about to bite down, Everett suddenly turned over and pulled me into his embrace. I shuddered with fright. I quickly tucked in my head and pretended to be a quail. After a while, a snoring sound began. I wiped off a cold sweat. False alarm. Just as I was about to bite again, I caught something from the corner of my eye and got a jolt. I'm not an ordinary zombie. My vision is very good. I saw Everett, his eyes filled with amusement, staring straight at me. My mind went blank. Had I been discovered? In an instant, I imagined the scene of being dismembered. Oh right, humans love to chop off zombie heads. Oh, how ugly it would be without a head, and asymmetrical too. For a moment, we just stared at each other. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, trying to muster what I thought was a cute smile. Annyeonghaseyo. Everett's face was playful. "What's the matter?" "Chicken killer, hungry again." Everett gently pushed the hair from my forehead behind my ear, leaned in close, and said in a deep, magnetic voice, "How about, you eat me tonight?" What a mess. What's going on with me? Wait a minute, should zombies have a heartbeat? I shook my head. Is that really the point? The point? My eyes lit up. The so-called food actually invited me to eat him, quite self-aware. This food is teachable indeed. Without mercy, I bit down on the arm before me. Crunch, again. That familiar sound, that familiar sensation, looking at the broken tooth in my hand. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I knelt down, defeated here for the second time. Everett, truly cunning, my last bit of resilience, shattered, my symmetrical little fangs, gone. Sorry, I forgot to take off the arm guard. Everett chuckled dryly, masking his embarrassment. Why don't you continue? I sniffed, wiping my nose, and looked up at him. Still trying to tempt me. I may be a zombie, but I'm not stupid. This is definitely a plot, an utterly blatant one. My eyes widened in shock, nervously staring out the window. Look, there's a chicken flying outside. Seeing Everett turn his head, I took the chance to run, even slamming the door off its hinges. Poor door. Blame Everett, not me. Everett stood at the doorway, his eyes as dark as the night, watching my retreating figure. This is interesting, but little chick, do you really think you can escape? The next morning, the bearded uncle yawned as he walked through the camp, shocked to see Everett's empty doorway. Hey, Everett, where's your door? Everett turned around, his attractive eyes looking at me with a playful smirk. Maybe a flying wild chicken took it, right, chicken killer. I stood there, legs intertwined in confusion, almost twisting them into knots. The bearded uncle, struck by a sudden thought, excitedly slapped his thigh. Hey, I know, Everett, your door was blasted away by lightning. I heard a loud bang last night and thought I was hearing things, but that was it. It was really like thunder out of the blue. Everett's door flew. Everett, did you do something shady, am I right? Chicken killer. The bearded uncle looked at me expectantly, as if waiting for praise. Everett's face turned dark, almost dripping with gloom. Go dig latrines for a month. I silently gave a thumbs up. Such creativity, such imagination. I grinned and nodded vigorously. Suddenly, I found the bearded uncle somewhat more agreeable, quite endearing. Looking at him again, this bearded uncle, quite a cute fellow. Might consider him as my backup food. Now, I finally understand. Why did the bearded uncle look at me like a dog seeing meat at first? Why did he invite me to the camp with such enthusiasm, like a slobbering dog? Looking at the pile of wood before me, I sat down despondently. This isn't how it was supposed to go. I was meant to wreak havoc, to devour them all, not to become a human slave. It turns out, in their eyes, I'm just a laborer. Humans, truly sinister, seeing me motionless. Haley strode over aggressively with a rope, urging, What are you doing? What are you doing? Get up and get to work, she called out. People are waiting to use it, she added. I pouted, unwillingly saying, Haley, I'm tired and I really need a break. Before I could react, a sharp knock on my head made me wince in pain. Oh, what are you thinking? You've got it all wrong and here you are, acting all spoiled, she said irritably. Then, her tone softened as she gently stroked my head, like one would pet a cat. I was startled by her sudden change in demeanor. It was so quick she could have set a Guinness World Record. Be good, everyone is tired, you need to understand limits, she advised, looking at the pile of wood in front of me that resembled a small mountain and the much smaller stack in front of Grizzly Uncle. It was hard to believe we were all in the same boat. Haley, I treat you like a sister, and this is how you regard me. Haley took a few steps, then turned around as if she realized something was off and said, Tonight, we're having chicken. Chicken, damn it, she's got me there. Tonight, I'll eat 8 chickens, no, 10, yes, I'll eat her out of house and home. He. Haley kicked me hard in the butt, her face full of disdain. What are you grinning at? Get moving. Can't I have a little personal space? Just you wait. Lately, my appetite has decreased. From being able to eat 7 chickens in one sitting, I'm down to 6. Haley even joked, What happened? Did you change genders? I shifted my position, turning my back towards her. I still remember how you treated me before, and I hold grudges, eat farts. I'm not dealing with you. It's all because I found out my food wasn't clean. I discovered he had the scent of another woman on him. For a zombie with a cleanliness obsession, this was unbearable. The food I had my eyes on wasn't up for grabs, not even by my own mother. I sat on a small stool in front of Everett's door, closely watching everyone. As a determined little zombie, my patience finally paid off. I saw that woman, arm in arm with Everett, chatting and laughing. Seeing their intimate gestures and flirtatious expressions truly infuriated me. Oh, my little zombie temper. I blocked their path. hands on hips, and angrily declared, I challenge you to a duel, at the camp square. The woman stood with her arms crossed, her tone disdainful. Tell me. How do you want to fight? I frowned, annoyed by her attitude. I really wanted to hit her, so I pinned her down and started hitting her. Let's see how arrogant you can be now. I'll show you. And surprisingly, she was quite resilient. The girl cried pitifully. This isn't scientific. You're not being honorable. I'm not being honorable. Fine, I'll make sure you're thoroughly convinced of your defeat. I always prefer to win people over with reason. I stood up, squinting at her. She clutched her bottom while her eyes cautiously surveyed me. Tentatively, she said, Let's have a battle of words. All right, that's fine. I thought to myself, I can handle this little rascal. But just as I nodded, she blurted out, I have bigger breasts. I was stunned, incredulous. Was this her idea of a verbal duel? I glanced down at my own flat chest, realizing she had trapped me with her remark. She looked triumphantly at me, her nose in the air, head held high. As if she wasn't risking a neck strain. I was so flustered, my face turned beet red, unable to come up with a comeback. I have a bigger butt. Laughter erupted from the onlookers. I raised my fists, and suddenly everyone fell silent. Laugh at me, will you? Just you wait. But I still won, triumphantly. I walked over to Everett, wrapping my arm around his, marking my territory. What's mine is mine. No one can take that away. Unexpectedly, she also ran over and grabbed Everett's hands. Stomping her feet while swaying, I narrowed my eyes. Did she still not get the message? Looking for more trouble? Bro, aren't you going to help me, bro? My face was full of question marks. Yeah, Everett looked at me, his tone nonchalant. What's up, little sis? WTF? So, I ended up hitting his sister. I remembered the stories I'd read before. My legs were shaking. In those stories, the brothers were always fiercely protective of their sisters. I just hit Everett's sister. He's not going to kill me, is he? I stood there, stiff and stunned. Everett gave a slight smile and whispered in my ear, not bad. Next time you can go even harder. What? Is this really her brother? I felt sorry for her for a moment, but if she tries to get near my food again, maybe I can consider being a bit tougher. I'm not one to hold grudges. Now, I'm enjoying my meal, contented, no troubles, life is good. We became good friends, not because she's Everett's sister, but because she promised to introduce me to a lot of food, just like Everett. I guess that's acceptable, forgivable. I'm pretty magnanimous. After all, the girl extended her hand. My name is Isla, what's yours? Mimicking her seriousness, I replied, hello, I'm the Chick Slayer. Her face lit up, clapping her hands. Sounds great, then, contemplating, she rested her chin on her hands. Since we're going to be sisters from now on, I've decided, I'll be called Chick Helper. How about that? Good name, me the Slayer, you the Helper. Sounds smooth. Our eyes met, recognizing a kindred spirit. I clapped my hands joyfully, repeatedly exclaiming, great. From that point on, 3 sayings became popular in the camp. The camp has 2 hands. One is a killer, the other a helper, with both hands vigilant. Even the hen will crow, with both hands passing. No chick is left with feathers. Lately, I've noticed Haley has been avoiding me, just now. As I was strolling around the camp with the Chick Helper, as I saw Haley, who was chatting and laughing, I was about to greet her when her face suddenly changed. She picked up something nearby and ran off, not forgetting to urge the person next to her. Let's go, the Chick Killer Helper is here. Let's head home. Watching Haley's hurried retreat, I felt a surge of resentment. Am I really that frightening? I'm actually quite adorable. Just wait, you owe me a compensation now. From a distance, Haley stopped in her tracks. The man beside her asked, Haley, why did you stop running? Just resting. I can tell what they are up to with just a glance. Haley seemed to realize something, slapping her thigh. No, we need to move. Haley looked at the empty chicken coop, her face showing a profound disillusionment as she sighed to the sky. My newly hatched chicks are gone again. Old who, you've wronged me. At the camp entrance, a newcomer, puzzled, asked, Uncle Who Beard, why is that person so agitated? Uncle Who Beard took a drag on his cigarette. Perhaps he's too happy seeing a promising newcomer like you joining. Look at that spirit, truly a role model for our generation. the newcomer, resolute, declared, "I am willing to dedicate everything to the camp." Uncle Whobeard smiled and patted his shoulder. "Good, very good, youth has potential." Everett and the others were preparing to leave. I asked Haley why we needed to go out. Haley said it was because I ate too much, and they couldn't sustain it anymore, so they needed to go out to scavenge for supplies. It was just a little bit that I ate. How stingy, always blaming me. I was just about to return, then a thought crossed my mind. If they're going out to scavenge and something happens, wouldn't all the supplies then be mine? My eyes gleamed. It's been a long time since I last ate a human. I immediately raised my hand. I want to go too, Uncle Whobeard said nonchalantly. "What for? It's dangerous out there." I'm strong, I can carry things." Saying that, I rolled up my sleeves to show off my biceps. Uncle Whobeard laughed. "That little bit of muscle, better not to show it off." I looked pitifully at Uncle Whobeard. "Don't look at me, ask Everett. It's not my decision." "Geez, you should have said so earlier." Wasting my expression. "Damn." I then looked towards Everett. Everett was rather cold, not even looking. He simply said, "Let's go." Once outside the camp, I was in one car with Everett, Eastlaw and Uncle Whobeard in another. We were just staring at each other. Shouldn't there be more people? Isn't it embarrassing with just so few? Not what I expected. No choice, no way back. Just had to go. The surroundings were not like the camp. All was just a backdrop of dilapidated ruins. Quite fitting for the apocalypse. Zombies, blinded by noise, charged at us. But were sent flying by Everett's driving. The SUV was quite durable. Watching the zombies being knocked away, I trembled with fear. It was truly pitiful. Before long, we reached our destination, a department store building. We got out of the car and entered. The first floor was quite empty, surprisingly with not many zombies around. After clearing out the zombies, Everett whispered a warning. "There's something odd about this place. Everyone be cautious." Team led by Old Who and his sister, remember. "Retreat immediately if it's dangerous." Pointing at me, he instructed, "You, come with me upstairs, don't wander off." After ascending the stairs and clearing zombies along the way, we found that the supplies were quite abundant, especially the food, the seafood and raw meat section. Meat, my eyes lit up. I unconsciously scampered towards it, turning the corner. Oh my goodness, all I saw were zombies. Wow, so many zombies. Everett was also taken aback, hearing the noise. A horde of zombies uniformly turned their heads towards us. The synchronization was impeccable. Everett was the first to react, his voice low and urgent. "Run." Before he could finish, he grabbed me and we started running. I was slow to react. Regaining my senses, I slowed down. Why am I running? Aren't I a zombie? Is my brain malfunctioning? Oh, right, I'm still a zombie. Sorry, I've been in the camp too long and forgot. Everett, anxious, snapped, "What are you doing?" He grabbed my wrist. "Here." He pulled me into a small house. We were surrounded by zombies, listening to the banging on the door. Everett's frown was so deep it was almost twisted together. Looking at the shaky door frame, we both knew this door wouldn't hold much longer. In this critical moment, it was up to me. I puffed out my chest, standing before Everett. "I have a plan." Everett opened his mouth to speak but ended up saying nothing. I grabbed Everett and spat right at him. "Tui, tui, tui." After a while, I dusted off my hands, admiring my handiwork, looking at Everett covered in my saliva, all flavored by me. It was perfect. Everett stared at me, a bit horrified. "Little one, I suspect you are mixing personal feelings with official duties, but I have no proof. Who would think like you? After all, how could I bear to let others of my kind have you?" I ignored him, confidently saying, "Let's go." Everett looked at me suspiciously. "Will this work?" I patted his chest. "With me here, don't worry." We walked a few steps, and I turned to Everett with a serious look. "Don't speak later, okay? It could be deadly." Everett seemed to trust me quite a bit. The door opened. Zombies at the door suddenly rushed in like they were injected with adrenaline. The small space became crowded instantly, filled with roaring sounds, seemingly not smelling human scent. The zombie crowd stopped their agitation. They circled the room, sniffing the air. A zombie, with only half of its face remaining, pressed close to sniff me. Ugh, it was utterly disgusting, made me want to vomit. It was a disgrace to zombies everywhere. Everett shot me a look, signaling me to hold it in. Sigh, no choice, I had to keep up appearances. Couldn't very well say I wasn't afraid of zombies because I was one myself. I thought Everett would chop me down first if I did. Alright, I'll endure, even though I knew they were revolting. Once we were outside, Everett carefully locked the door behind us. That went smoothly. Without a break, Everett pulled me to another location, a safer spot. Just as I steadied myself and looked up, I met Everett's gaze. So, why are they indifferent to your scent? Or are you, a zombie? Everett's eyes were piercing, as if he could see right through me. I was about to make up some excuse, then a gunshot rang out. Something had happened over where Uncle Beard was. 12, in the lobby on the first floor. When we got there, Uncle Beard and Isla were lying on the ground, their fates unknown. A man with a sharp, monkey-like face carelessly toyed with a handgun in his hand. Seeing us arrive didn't seem to surprise them, almost as if they knew we would come. His eyes lit up with excitement when he saw Everett. Everett, what a coincidence to meet you today. Fortune really favors me. They knew each other. Was there a grudge? Everett's eyes narrowed. Li Hui, we settled our past issues. What do you want now? Of course. He turned the gun towards me, the dark muzzle pointing at my face. Wait, if you're going to shoot, just shoot. Why aim at me? They had guns. Everett quickly pulled me behind him, taking a bullet in his arm. Do you care a lot about the person behind you? Let's give you a taste of losing someone you care about. Everett didn't respond, just stared intensely at Li Hui. Blood was streaming from Everett's arm like it was free. Everett was hurt. To save me, I was a bit furious, daring to mess with my food. I wouldn't even waste it like this. I lunged forward and bit into his neck. Crunch, a chunk of flesh came off in my mouth. The rich scent of blood filled my nostrils, and my eyes reddened. Bang, 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 gunshots sounded. A pain surged through my abdomen. Though as a zombie, such a wound wouldn't kill me, but I still felt the pain. Li Hui kicked me away. It really hurt. Li Hui, clutching his neck, cursed. Damn, this little bastard bites hard. Good, today, you all die here. As he raised his gun at me, one of his underlings pointed at Li Hui, his voice trembling. Brother Hui, your body. Li Hui, clearly annoyed. What about my body? Before he could finish, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned veiny, his body twisted grotesquely. Bones cracking intermittently as a roar escaped his throat. Roar, Li Hui had turned into a zombie. I watched as Li Hui transformed. A smirk formed at the corner of my mouth. They still wanted to kill me. Drops of blood trickled from my mouth, giving me a somewhat ferocious appearance. Seeing my bloodshot eyes, the underling pointed at me in horror and exclaimed, "Ah, a zombie, she's a zombie." Ah, my secret was out. But it was too late for them to realize. They were all going to die. They were already terrified. Killing them didn't take much effort. After a short while, no one was left alive. I approached Everett, flashed him a faint smile, then passed out. Before closing my eyes, I vaguely saw someone silently watching from the shadows on the second floor. When I woke up again, my wounds had all healed. There was nothing around, except for the bearded uncle and Isla lying on the ground. Everett was examining me, his knife moving in and out as he stared. I wasn't sure what he was thinking. I shivered and curled up in a corner. Was he going to chop me up? After a long pause, Everett finally spoke. "Are you a zombie?" I nodded. "Why didn't you say so?" I meekly replied. "Do I look like a fool?" "You do." Everett looked apologetic. "Sorry, I misspoke." A silence fell between us. "What about the others?" he asked. "They're all dead, turned into zombies, and I killed them." I looked up, staring straight at Everett. "Why haven't you killed me? Aren't you afraid I might eat you?" "You won't." "Why?" Everett locked eyes with mine and said simply, "Just a feeling." In the car, Everett kept his eyes on the road, his long fingers gripping the steering wheel. "Do you remember your name?" he asked. I shook my head. "Then from now on, you'll be called Amu." I nodded. "Okay." The sun was setting. We returned to the camp. As I looked at the camp's gates, a warm feeling began to rise in my heart. Unexpectedly, my identity had been exposed. A man with a scarred face stood at the entrance, hands behind his back. His figure seemed familiar, but I couldn't recall where I had seen him before. Everyone gathered in the square. Was this welcome ceremony always so grand? Well, I had brought back a lot of supplies. As we entered the camp and got out of the car, the bearded uncle walked up to the scarred man, his expression respectful. "Lord Ezra, you've returned, Lord." Everett wasn't the leader, Haley, noticing my confusion, explained. "Everett leads the external team. Recently, Lord Ezra went to the main base, leaving the camp under Everett's management, not the leader, but still in charge." "Humph." Everett was still impressive. The scarred man responded with a flat, and walked past the bearded uncle straight to Everett. "Everett, keeping a zombie in the camp. What a big surprise you've given me." Then, he stared straight at me. I remembered now. He was the man from the department store. Everyone around gasped. Isla defended me on the side. "How can Amu be a zombie? She even saved us. Lord Ezra, could you be mistaken?" The bearded uncle chimed in. Everett shielded me behind him and said emphatically, "Amu is not a zombie." Scarface watched Everett leisurely as he said, "Isn't that right?" He then had someone toss a chicken in front of me. "Since it's not, why not take a bite and find out?" Everett remained silent. I knew he wouldn't let it go unless I did it. Reluctantly, I bit into the chicken. As the chicken began turning into a zombie, horror spread across everyone's faces. Everett squeezed my hand painfully tight. Perhaps they never imagined living with a zombie for so long. Suddenly, the surroundings erupted into chaos, filled with accusations against Everett. "Everett, how could you?" I knew it. How could she eat so much all at once? Yes, this is irresponsible towards us." I crouched down, covering my head. Bang! A gunshot shattered the noise. A hole opened in my arm, and blood began to flow out. If Haley hadn't swiftly pulled Scarface back, I might have been dead. I didn't expect him to shoot in front of everyone. Perhaps driven by the sight of blood, I charged at him. Maybe it was at the camp. He was unprepared, and I easily tackled him to the ground. Everett looked panicked. "Amu, don't." I still stopped. At the very last moment, I couldn't hurt Everett, but in return, they locked me in an iron cage. Later, I asked Everett why he didn't pull me away when he had the chance. Everett stroked my head. "I believe, Amu, you're not that kind of zombie." 15. I was locked up. I thought they would kill me, but they didn't. They said I was a rare and unknown species, valuable for research. They even organized a team to study me. They drew my blood daily and gave me some medicine that tasted awful. I've lost count of how many times they've taken my blood. Haley came to visit me, bringing some chickens. Sitting in the cage, eating the chickens Haley brought, I joked, "Haley, how come you're willing to give me so many chickens this time?" Haley hesitated. "Amu, I eat." Perhaps later. Haley spoke so softly I couldn't hear her clearly, but I understood what Haley wanted to say. I knew I might never get out. I haven't seen Everett, and he hasn't come to visit me. From Haley, I learned that Everett's situation wasn't good. I lay in the cold iron cage, my gaze vacant as I stared into the night. Cold drafts blowing through the gaps. I curled up. "Everett, I'm really scared." 16. Everett let me out. I didn't expect Everett to risk everything to save me. Everett knocked down the guard and freed me. It didn't last long. We were quickly discovered, facing the crowd that surrounded us. Everett pushed me away. "Go, don't look back. Head west. Haley is waiting for you there." Staying here would only hold Everett back. I ran westward and saw Haley at the fence. Haley distracted the guards and got me out of the camp, watching as I left, murmuring, "Amu, take care of yourself." 17. I managed to escape, but now I'm being hunted. They consider me more dangerous than the average zombie. My existence is a threat to humanity. Standing on the rooftop, I can see humans in the distance. They've gone to great lengths to kill me, yet they haven't caught me. I wonder how Everett is doing. In the eyes of humans, there are no good people, except for Everett. They are all bad. 18. It's been 7 days since I escaped. I've lost my appetite for anything. I miss Everett. I lie on the rooftop, watching the area below. Recently, I noticed my kind gathering together. I understand now. This is the precursor to a zombie horde. After becoming a zombie, I've seen a horde before, and it's similar to now. Wherever the horde passes, nothing survives. The horde is coming. They are headed towards Everett's camp. It would be good to devour them completely. They are all bad people. Bad people deserve to die. I sit up, thinking of Everett. Everett is still there. My friend is still there. They can't die. I jump off the building, rushing towards the camp. The camp's defenses have not changed. Perhaps they never expected me to return. I snuck in smoothly. When I entered, Everett was smoking. The moment Everett saw me, his eyes lit up with surprise. Then he quickly masked it, but I still noticed. Everett's tone was icy as he said, "What are you doing here?" I wasn't upset. He was protecting me. I gently tugged at the corner of Everett's shirt. "Let's go." The horde. Everett's expression turned grave. "Are you saying a horde is coming?" I nodded. I pointed west. After hearing this, Everett turned to leave. But I grabbed his collar and didn't let go. "Forget about them, you go." Everett looked down, his eyes dim. "Sorry, moo. I can't just do nothing." He still went, watching Everett's retreating figure. I knew I couldn't stop him. 19. I still followed Everett. Seeing me, they were all shocked. "Everett, what are you thinking bringing a zombie here?" Everett didn't respond, just coldly said, "The horde is coming." The crowd quieted down, then broke into noisy debates, all looking wary. "How do we know it's not lying?" "Capture it." A man with a scarred face smoked silently, watching me without a word. Then, someone rushed in, panicked. "Lord, there's a horde coming from the west. They'll be here in less than 2 hours. It's too late to retreat now." Scarface unfolded a map, his brow furrowed. Everett said, "There's still a chance," pointing to a spot on the map. He continued, "There's a tall building here, high enough. If we blow it up, it might change their path. This might be our only chance, but someone needs to go with the explosives." The meeting room fell silent. They all understood that this mission was extremely perilous. Then, a voice broke the silence. It was Everett. Everett decisively said, "I'll go." I knew that if Everett went, he would die, but I also knew I couldn't stop him. Just like before, when it came to life and death, they prepared quickly. Everything was ready. I followed Everett closely. There was no room for me there either. As Everett was packing, he instructed me, "Find a place to hide, don't come back, just survive." I ignored Everett and just sat in the car. Time was of the essence. Everett couldn't dissuade me, and took me with him. We arrived at the location. There was still some distance from the horde of corpses. Everett calculated the explosion points and pre-placed the explosives. Only one was left. Seeing the horde so close, Everett hadn't expected the horde to move so fast. Now, only I could proceed. Without waiting for Everett to react, I grabbed the explosives and ran forward. I didn't hear what Everett said. I softly said, "Everett, if I don't die, you're doomed to be my food in this life." I didn't know if Everett had heard me, but it no longer mattered. Facing the horde, I ran to the spot. In the last moment before being overwhelmed, I placed the explosives down, watching the high-rise collapse. I had succeeded. I closed my eyes. In a haze, I seemed to see Everett, his expression panicked. Everett embracing me. "AMU, I think I've fallen for you." Everett said he liked me. "That's nice," Everett cried, tears and snot running down. "Cry more. AMU won't like you then. I'm a bit of a clean freak." 20. Waking up again, surrounded by a group of people, I knew our plan had succeeded. I lay in the camp bed. They all said I was lucky. Everett was fortunate. My self-healing ability is strong. Others would have died long ago. Everett was lucky, having just managed to hide in a metal box nearby. Everett holding me. "AMU, I'm not letting you go this time. It should be me not letting you go." I pouted. "Mind your own business." Everett stroked my head. "Who else could afford to feed you with your appetite but me?" I bared my teeth. "What does that mean? Calling me a pig?" I angrily said. "Who needs you to provide?" I turned to Haley and said, "Haley, I want chicken." Haley smiled sweetly. "Sure, you'll get plenty today." Delicious. 21. Everett and I are together now. The people at the camp have accepted me. I've become the camp's darling. Walking around the camp, people greet me. It feels pretty good. I still don't like that guy with the scarred face, after all he did to me, but people still come to draw my blood every day. I'm not stingy. Just a few vials of blood, right? Go ahead, there's plenty. 22. That day, I was leisurely lying on a rocking chair soaking up the sun. Isla came running in a hurry. Brother, our chickens are gone again." I was about to flee when Everett grabbed me firmly. Everett held me by the collar with one hand. "Run, where could you possibly run to?" I hung my head, my hands rubbing my belly, looking pitifully at Everett. It wasn't me, it was him. He was hungry. Everett sighed, helplessly stroked my nose, his eyes full of indulgence. "I really can't handle you, little creature." You're quite useful, but what is it that you're carrying? A human or a zombie, or a half-human, half-zombie, who cares? It's not like I have to deal with it, Everett is there. I was just thinking about what to eat tonight when a pain surged through my belly. I held my stomach, grabbing onto Everett. Everett, it hurts. Everett was frantically pacing beside me. Brother, your wife is about to give birth. Quick, go get the doctor. After a while, a cry pierced the sky.